The realisation that I've been such a twat for so much of my life. The more you talk about mistakes you've made, the more you own it. All of those things just leave you so free of any of the shame of any of it. But the power of a proper, authentic apology. That kind of apology that isn't real is the one that sounds a bit like, I'm sorry that you took it that way.
Yeah.
It's worse. It's, I'm sorry you're so dreadful that you're so inadequate that you don't know how to, it's so patronising, that kind of.
Your book, The Twat Files, which I lolled the whole way through, but there's real beautiful, poignant moments in there as well.
Yeah.
But these are moments where you've messed up, like we all have, or things have gone a bit wrong.
Yeah.
What was the impetus to make you focus on these moments in your life?
Like a lot of good things in life, this was a bit of a happy accident, because I had done a tour called 30 Million Minutes, which was mainly about my actual life and my family and who made me and all the things I've been through. So it was very personal. And I wanted to go out on tour again. And I thought, right, okay, what have I not talked about? And I thought, well, I haven't talked about any career stuff, work stuff. But then that is really the part of me that has been in the public eye. So why would I be talking about that when people have already witnessed that, if you like? And I thought, well, maybe what people are more interested in is the stories from behind the scenes. Stuff that, how things get to where they do when they're polished. So I started with that as a thought, and then I started to think of silly times and things that had gone a bit wrong. And that's what amused me. And I thought, well, I'll tell some stories. I mean, I'm not really a stand-up, but I am a storyteller. And I thought, well, I can tell stories about times when things have gone a bit wrong. I'll litter the show with that because that will amuse me and them. Then I started to think more and more, and honestly, the realisation that I've been such a twat for so much of my life is a bit humbling and also quite revealing. And I thought, these are the stories that I'm interested in. These are the stories I will enjoy performing for people. So why don't I just write down all the times that I think I've been a bit of a twat on stage or, in film or TV or whatever. So there were a whole load of those, loads of those, some that suited the stage show, but many more that I decided, well, there's more that need to go in a book. And also then I thought, what about my actual real life, the moments in my real life where I've made stupid decisions or done a stupid thing? And I thought, yeah, there are loads of these. And the more I thought about it, A, the more I was delighted in it, and B, the more I knew that this show was going to be more than I had thought it would be. And I thought it was just going to be some face the front, show off and have a laugh kind of show. But actually, the more you talk about mistakes you've made, the more you own it and sort of reshape it into whatever form you want, to amuse or to explain or to unburden. All of those things just leave you so free of any of the shame of any of it. And it's delightful. And I thought, blimey, this is something I should have been doing all along. And then I thought, but I have been doing this because this is what I do with my beloveds. This is what we all do. When you see a friend, you don't tell them your marvellous successes, where you've been perfect. Well, I wouldn't with my friends, or certainly not with my family. I'd be killed instantly if I was that arrogant. But what you do is you say, you won't believe what I did. And then you relish the chance to explain what a fool you are. But you only relish it because you know you're in safe hands. You know you're with beloveds who will enjoy this and who will keep your shame safe and not let it become anything bigger or worse. And what's more, they will also unzip.
Yeah.
And they will come back with the same stories and trust you. And that's how we communicate with people. I'm not interested in perfect, successful people. I don't believe it for a second. We know this.
Oh, it's a load of old bollocks.
We know it. We know it more than we know anything else. So why do we pretend differently? Now, listen, I'm not saying we shouldn't enjoy each other's successes or we shouldn't be proud of each other or celebrate all the great moments. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the other moments I think might be even more valuable.
So much more. So, and like you say, revealing, liberating, saying them out loud. It is, of course, a very different thing talking to your beloveds who you know you trust and they trust you if they want to share as well.
Yeah.
But standing on a stage or writing a book, not knowing who's going to read those stories, did that have a different feeling about it?
Well, look, any writing that I do, and you know, there are probably real thoroughbred, proper grown-up serious writers who think differently about this. So you are one of them.
Oh,
Well,
you're
you are
more
one
so
of
than
them.
me.
You are also a writer. But, you know, some people could write because they just have to write, because it's just absolutely who they are and what they must do to feel creative and whatever. I write so that it lands in someone's eyes, ears, head, heart, wherever it lands. It has no purpose to me unless it connects with somebody somehow. Now, novels are one way of doing that, of immersing yourself in a character, in a story, and, you know, having a purpose to writing a novel. I love that. That's rigorous. But non-fiction writing like this also has a place. And so long as it's entertaining first and foremost, but also has a belly of some kind or a purpose of some kind, then I'm all in for that. And then I'm happy to spend time alone in a room in my head, enjoying, you know, the delights of my own mistakes and my own follies, if you like, because I know it will land. And the weird thing was, as I was doing the show in front of live audience, I hoped that by opening up these silly mistakes, it would be funny for all of us. I hoped that. And I thought, well, surely after all these years, I've got some skills to be able to deliver stories that might be quite funny like this. But what I really felt, and it was a kind of visceral thing in the room, and it pretty much happened every night. Thank you. Thank you. I'm thanking all the gods of performance there.
I noted that.
Yes.
The praying
I'm not
hands.
thanking you. I'm thanking them. But thank you if you were ever in an audience. But anyway, I noticed that they lean in. There's a kind of moment where you think, yeah, you're with me on this because you too have felt this. I've managed to, by a happy accident, as I say, chance upon something that we all know to be true. Therefore, you're giving me permission to say it, and I feel you leaning in. You're not sitting back waiting for me to amuse you with my jester stories. You are joining me because you've done it too, and you felt this way. You felt this humiliation. You felt the sting of those tinging moments where it's just awful and you can't take it back, and you did it and it's awful. You too have felt it, but hey, let's try and take the awful thorn out of it. Don't let it be a haunting thing. That's what I think I've felt for a lot of years, more years than I care to think, or that I wish, you know, like everything growing up, it's about finding these things out, isn't it?
Yeah.
And growing old is even.
I think we all do. And I think that's why it feels like not only a great source of laughter and entertainment, but a really important book. And, you know, you say in the book, if you shine a light on it, shame, embarrassment, all these ugly feelings, it vanishes. You can flush out the embarrassment by owning it and brightening it up. And I think it's absolutely true. But you still have to have an element of courage, or I think there's certainly things I was thinking of when I was reading your book, like, oh, I don't know if I would still say this aloud, because shame but it breeds in silence, and it breeds in secrecy.
Agree.
Those stories get bigger and bolder and have more punch to them when you don't say them aloud.
Yeah, and you're giving the power away. That's the problem. You give the power to the person who's made you feel that, or the person who also knows this secret, or whatever. You give the power away to the mistake.
Yeah.
I want to have the power of it, and I want to really wrestle it to the floor and reshape it. And then once you do, honestly, it disappears.
Yeah.
And the other thing that helps, and I do mention this in the book, and I've thought a lot about this since it occurred to me. And in fact, I could write a whole book about this, I think. But the power of a proper, authentic apology.
Oh, yeah.
And any mistake, not purposeful evil, not that. That's unforgivable. But any mistake, an intentional mistake that you make, is forgivable if you properly apologise.
This is such an interesting one. And reading that bit of the book, I thought about it a lot because I absolutely agree. And not that long ago, I wrote a letter to someone that I had unintentionally upset. They weren't a great friend, but I knew them, and I've always felt bad about it. And
how did you find out you had upset them? Did it come to you via someone else?
I found out they were upset, but also in hindsight, I can see that I'd gotten it wrong.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this was probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, long time ago. So I think just again with age and experience and my own shortcomings, I can see, wow, okay, I wouldn't act like that now. And I wrote a letter, which I hope they've received. And I don't know what the outcome is. I'm not even expecting one, but the lightness I feel about that situation, which used to really drag me down, is huge. But I wonder if there are exceptions. Do you think there are times when it's not possible to say sorry? If you perhaps assume or have a slight intuition that it won't be accepted, or you might then open up another can of worms with them being back in your life. Do you think there are exceptions?
That's interesting. I suppose you might protect yourself by not apologising to someone you think might come back into your life if that person is toxic or difficult for you or whatever. But I think I would risk it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever regretted an apology. I don't think I've ever regretted one, even if it was difficult to do, or sometimes, I have learnt this again with age, that kind of apology that isn't real is the one that sounds a bit like, I'm sorry that you took it that way. Which isn't an apology, is it?
No.
In fact, it's worse.
Yeah.
It's worse. I'm sorry you're so dreadful that you're so inadequate that you don't know how to, it's so patronising, that kind of, or even the sarcastic, sorry, 1,000 sorries. Is that enough? How many sorries do you want from me? That kind of sorry doesn't do it, doesn't cut it at all. And yet we somehow have learnt how to be like that. I certainly have learnt how to be, with a bit of comedy or a bit of arrogance maybe, learnt to sort of put a bit of a protective cloak around ourselves by spitting out, and I think it's to do with being defensive, and protecting ourselves more. And we certainly live in a time where we're afraid of what might happen. So even an apology feels like accountability. Does accountability then lead to blame? Does it then lead to even worse stuff? And this is how we live now, which is just awful.